You ever heard that saying, keep your friends close, enemies closer? But at this point, no, I need everybody to give me 20 feet, okay? He is an American serial killer that is literally unhinged. Now, when I say unhinged, I mean definite unhinged. And one thing is not like the other. Out of all the men we talked about on this page, this man really kind of just the essence of these crazy psycho people. Henry Lewis was born in 1965 in South Carolina. He was born to a single mother. He had a little sister, and his mother, they grew up really poor. She was very abusive, very violent. Now, what I mean by very violent, when she did not feel like physically beating her children, she had her son, her daughter, go get a switch outside to beat each other. Whoever wins just wins at this point. So he said in an interview that he said, yeah, my mom made us beat each other, but, I didn't want to get beat on. So he beat the heck out of his little sister because he just wanted to win. I don't know. He had pretty much really bad issues when he was a child. One time his dad prank called him and told him like he can't wait to see him. He loves him. Oh my God, I can't wait. So little happy Henry Lewis was waiting on his mother's bed looking out the window waiting for his daddy to never arrive. And he said in an interview that really hurt him and that really stuck with him for the rest of his life. But I digress. He was in school. He was known as a gentle, very kind, very funny young man. He even was very good with the ladies. He was even the first boy at that school to join the cheerleading team. He was out there with the pom-poms. He was also singing to the ladies too. The ladies loved him because he was singing and jumping and just making everybody happy. Then his dad went to the Navy. Apparently he was a good officer. They loved him. He was great. He even was ranked 3rd officer, I think, in the Navy. While in the Navy, he met his wife. Now, his wife didn't really like him because she cheated on him and had a whole nother baby. His old dun-dun-dun butt was like, well, I'm going to raise the baby as mine. And so he asked her, like, hey, can I have a baby by you? And she was like, hell to the no. And then she pretty much did. He was begging her to come back. And then I guess that's when he kind of snapped because he got charged with breaking and entering. And he was honorably discharged from the Navy. And then after that, he just went completely bonkers. Now, when I mean keep your friends close, enemies closer, everybody need to give me 20 feet. All of his victims were his homies. It was either his girlfriend friends, his sister friends, or his homeboy friends. He was just slaughtering and murdering everybody. When I mean no F's was given, no empathy, not the slightest care in the world came through this man's mind because of how he did everything was completely sick. Let me describe to you. One of these incidents is like, he went over to his friend's house and was like, hey, I got a little bit of Zaza, let's chill, let's hang out. Girl was like, cool, let's go, let's hang out. He gets over there, I guess they did a little Zaza session, and he just automatically was like, hey, I want you. And she's like, nah. And then he just brutally attacked her. He R-worded her. And then jacked all her stuff and went to go pawn it. It was even one of his victims. One of his victims. It was times that he will take the bodies and dump them places. He described one scenario that he went back to one of his victims' bodies that he just R-word murdered and stole her stuff from. He described looking at her body as it degrades on the side of the road. Describing it looked like E.T. Disrespectful. One instance of one of his victims, they were in the same building. Was hired of one and went to the other. That's probably a day or hours apart. Even told one of his victims to go put their baby to bed, even when she knew she was about to get R-worded. And even in that case, he went, after he did that to her, he went to the baby, and because the baby wouldn't be quiet, he assaulted the baby because he said, I didn't want to murder it. I just wanted to, like, make it stop breathing before it can be quiet. Seriously? So you're getting the whole situation. Now, I'm not going to keep repeatedly giving you details of what this man did to all 11 of his victims because some of them were children. And again, let me be clear. All of his victims he either was friends with or friends of a friend. And still, there was no connection to the police department about that. They just thought it was just singular or multiple men strangling all these black women. So once I guess bodies hit to number 5, the police start like trying to figure out like what's going on. Like there's a serial killer afoot and we just don't know who he is. FBI profilers were bamboozled when they figured out who this man was because they were just either rethinking their careers as a profiler because they was like usually serial killers murder strangers. This man murdered his friends. Okay, they were stumped when they arrested him. This man had no empathy. Some of his victims, he even gifted the stuff he stole from his friend's house. He either pawned it or gifted them to the friends. And I'm just like, what? Because one of his victims actually was going off on him. Was literally going to him like, I knew you were crazy. I knew you were a serial killer, blah, blah, blah. So it's like people was suspicious about him, but he had the disguise of this friendly, I care about you vibe. Holding your babies, being friendly, singing to you, dancing, jumping. But at the same time, people just felt it was, dude, you're weird. When Henry was interviewed, he described himself as remorseful and that he does feel bad for the things he do. And he told himself that in time, I think I would have forgotten, forgave myself. Then all of a sudden, randomly, he will go on these little murdering binges, like R-wording and murdering women in like 3-day spans and just stopping. Like he'll just be in these random rages and just find his closest friends or the most available friends, rob them, murder them, and R-word them. Mind you, not strangers. These are your sisters. These are your friends of a friend. These are your friends you grew up with. None of them see it coming. None of it. It wasn't a stranger walking in their home. It was their longtime friend who just snapped at him. It was one incident where, again, one of his victims, that is his friend, he broke into their house, sat in the bathroom, waited for them to come home, came out, was like, hey, let's have sexual relations. She was like, hell to the nah. And he didn't like that. And guess what happened to her? Not only are you seeing someone that you think of yourself close as, but them sneaking in your house, breaking in basically, and telling you they want sexual relations, and then they ended up R-wording, murdering you, and then stealing your stuff. He did this to 11 people, 11 black women, and one child that was 12 years old. When he was arrested, he did claim at first that he was coerced to making a confession or whatnot, but he sat there, detectives say, with the most common face and gave them hours and hours and hours of confessions and details of what he did and going around the town killing all of his buddies. Then when the trial hit, he really tried to redact it and then again sat there for hours retelling his same story. And he really tried. His lawyers really tried. Tell him like, oh, he was just coerced. These police officers gave him the utmost grace. They gave him snacks. They gave him breaks. They let him go to sleep. He was absolutely calm in the interviews, but had the audacity and nerve to say he was coerced. Dude, you had a whole nap and snacky snacks. Just telling your story like a little campfire. And then he started complaining like, you didn't let me see my daughter. But mind you, he had a daughter and a girlfriend at the time. Like, she was born while he was doing all this nonsense. He was offended that he wasn't able to do that. This man just completely had the straight audacity for me, and it just goes to show is like, we're not safe. It doesn't matter if you've been friends with someone for 10, 20, 30 years. It's your family. It's a stranger. People are crazy out here. You just never know who's gonna snap, and everyone needs to be vigilant. And again, it was so hard for half of these women to be having their shield up and their guard up because they looked at him as a friend. By God, he was a cheerleader, a high-ranking Navy soldier. He was the manager of Taco Bell. But he was really known as the Taco Bell stringer, but he was a manager at Taco Bell. He was singing, he was dancing, he was making jokes, he was there. But he was a little monster on the inside. Pretty much no one suspected it. Some probably did, but he hid it so well. And that what made him so dangerous, because he's not the monster in the shadows. He's not the monster in the trees. He's not that crazy white guy in the van. No, he is your buddy. He is your friend that showed up to graduations. He's your friend that showed up to funerals, repasses, everything. Rest in peace to all the women that was in his path. I'm so sorry that the community had to deal with such a terror. But this is the story of Henry Wallace. See you in the next one.